My head was spinning and my heart was pounding as I scanned my dad's inbox. All these emails? All these years? I knew I would never be able to speak to my boyfriend again, and I would never, ever trust my dad. For many years, I thought my dad was an ordinary but admirable man. He raised me alone after my mother was gone. Over the years, Dad became a very overprotective man. This meant that I was locked inside my house throughout most of my school life. I wasn't allowed to go out with friends, be late coming home from school, or attend any party. When I was in 6th grade, I begged my dad to let me go on a school trip for a debate contest. I had worked so hard to perform at this competition. I cried for hours to get his permission. He was unmoved. He refused to let me out. As the years passed, I grew to silently hate him. I was getting sick of being a prisoner in my own home. One day, the head cheerleader at my school, Stella, asked me to come to an insane party she was having for her 16th birthday. The whole school was invited. I wanted to go so badly. Everyone was talking about this party. I rushed home to beg my dad for permission. My dad and I had a huge fight that night. He refused to let me go to the party. I decided I was going to sneak out the moment he fell asleep. When the time came, I rushed to the party on my bicycle. I paused before Stella's house. Everything was strangely silent. I entered her home, feeling rather nervous. I mean, why would a raging high school party be so quiet? When I entered the living room, I saw all my schoolmates standing inside. They were all quiet and exchanging glances with each other awkwardly. At the center of the uncomfortable crowd was my father. He was seated on Stella's couch, red with anger. He began to shout at me in front of everyone I knew. He'd known what I was up to the whole time. He laughed at me, amused by the idea that I could ever fool him. In front of every one of my peers, my dad humiliated me and grounded me for a whole month. People around me laughed. I grew purple. Shame and my whole body began to shake. My dad demanded that I get in his car and go back home. I was simply too ashamed to do anything else but obey. The moment we reached home, I turned and looked him in the eye. I told him that he had broken our relationship tonight. I no longer wanted to speak to him. Days later, my crazy dad blocked Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all social media sites on our Wi-Fi. He wanted to isolate me from the outside world. But I was smarter. I downloaded this app. Using that, I was still able to use all these websites, and he had no clue. A few days passed, and I didn't say a word to him. I quietly headed to school day after day, and when I came home, I went straight to my room to be alone. That was my life. Until the day everything changed. The day I met Ricky. Ricky was a new kid, an orphan who'd been transferred to the school by the state. He was gorgeous, too, and he was the only person in school who hadn't seen the humiliating events of that night. To my delight, just when I was fantasizing about him, he asked me if I could help him find his class. I looked at his schedule and saw that we had a bunch of classes together. Ricky and I hit it off instantly. We began to sit together in class, meet for lunch, and walk home together from school. Ricky's company was delightful, and I couldn't help but crush on him. He was cool, funny, and clever. The day he finally asked me out on a date came quickly.